And tell me if, just a quick check, you can see what I'm seeing, the 8-step content-driven ABM strategy?
Yes, looks great.
Great. Okay, probably most of you are already aware, account-based marketing is different than traditional marketing because it's very focused. Very relevant for B2B. It's where marketing and sales teams work together to first identify best fit accounts and then actively turn them into customers. Where content marketing is really like throwing a big net out there, seeing who comes in, and then qualifying those potential leads during the sales process. In account-based marketing, you qualify the potential leads first. It's very targeted, and I'm going to show you exactly how that's done. So it's sort of interesting. Like if this was an account-based marketing webinar, virtually 100% of you would all be in the same group. You'd all have something in common. You'd all have been qualified in advance as best fits. So I love content marketing. I've done 20 years of SEO and 14 years of publishing and presentations and videos. But it looks like this. This is a screenshot from Real-Time Analytics. These people are all over the world, and I'm happy to help people all over the world. But ABM is so different than that. It's really about improving the relevance of your audience. It's about engaging prospects earlier. It's about perfect alignment. It's really unusual, right? You're going to see just how different this is. Perfect alignment between marketing and sales, and making all these marketing efforts more effective. So it's about high value for low volume. We're not selling t-shirts or widgets. This is great for B2B, where each of your potential projects or leads is worth quite a bit, right? That's what makes it worthwhile. So value propositions for like B2B and enterprise. This specific ABM program is good for content marketers. I'm doing account-based content marketing, ABC marketing, account-based content marketing. Small budgets, people active on LinkedIn, people who can conduct research, make a video, do a webinar, maybe do a long form guide. Step one, always the same. Step one in ABM. Step one is identify your ideal client profile. So this might be people in a common industry that you've identified as being a good fit for you. You've got a good story for them. You've got good case studies for them. You know how they work. You've got some industry knowledge already. Maybe they're of a certain size. Maybe they have marketing teams of a certain level of maturity. Maybe they're in your backyard. Maybe they're existing relationships that you already have. So we combine a little bit of research using tools. You're going to see a screenshot of Lead 411. You're going to see some screenshots of LinkedIn Sales Navigator. With maybe data output straight from your CRM. If you've been doing this for a while, you probably have some people in there already. Maybe they're old, cold leads or projects or past clients or proposals that went nowhere. And maybe it's anybody who's top of mind. But we want to build people that have something in common. Like they've got an industry in common. This is Lead 411. We're targeting people, obviously, who have a certain level of expertise, their job title, their seniority. And then all these different ways to basically start to build the list using a tool like this, or just straight LinkedIn. This is LinkedIn campaigns, right? Where I'm going to be targeting this group with a LinkedIn ad. I'm going to spend about $1,000 on my budget for this program, you'll see. So these are people that meet a certain level of criteria, 180 million, that's too many. Let's narrow it down. I'm going to target, in this case, people who are in construction, they're managers and VPs, they're in marketing. So I've got this audience, basically this list, right? It's in Sales Navigator. It's in a spreadsheet, wherever you keep it. Then I'm going to do a tiny bit of custom research to create the hook. This is going to be custom research that's very specific to them, that will be very interesting to them. By answering the question, I'm going to do financial, I guess. I've done this for several industries, as you'll see. What do the top financial firms put on their websites? That's the question I'm going to answer with my research. For you, it will be different research. This is the job of this content strategist. You're going to have to come up with something that is interesting to them, some research that can be produced efficiently. By seeing the research we did, may give you some ideas. Basically, just got a big list of a bunch of financial firms, put them all on a spreadsheet showing on the left a row for each, and then a column for each attribute from their website. So this is observable data. This is research that I could delegate. Basically gave this to a virtual assistant who gave it back to me showing, did they have X, Y, and Z? And credibly produced some data points such as, 53% did this, 32% did this, 39% did this. So for you, it's sort of like that. Like, what are the top X companies doing with Y? We have a friend who does email marketing. She just subscribed to a whole bunch of their newsletters, right? Do they have autoresponder sequences, right? Did they ever respond? What was their email frequency? right? Did they live up to the call to action, the promise they made on their website? So I've got this bit of research, right? Now let's get to work. The promotion video, super powerful. Alex and I were just talking about cameras. It's worth it to invest in the camera. I'm going to show you my setup. This is literally the desk I'm sitting at now. We just talked about this. I've got a nice camera. This is a DSLR camera. I've got a light. It's like $10. I've got acoustic tiles. I sound a little better because of that. I've got a mic on a boom. I've got a cam link so the DSLR camera can connect to the webcam. That's why I have a soft background. That's why I can change my focus. And I'm going to use Camtasia to add captions. This is a 1-minute commercial for my webinar. I'm going to give a webinar presenting my research. I'm going to promote that webinar with this 1-minute video. It's just like an ad, basically. It's like me saying, hey, I've got here. Actually, I think I can show you. Is this playable? Here, listen in if you can hear it. Oh, I know you can't hear this. We're sharing all these slides, of course. As long as you don't need to hear the audio, I get captions in here anyway. It's basically me pitching this webinar where everyone who sees this video is in that industry and likely interested. Camtasia makes it very easy to put the captions in. Without captions, this is social promo, right? Without captions, it's not going to be a thumb stopper. LinkedIn isn't going to just show everybody, start playing audio for everybody. So the captions are a better way to slow it down or entice people who don't have their audio, don't turn on the audio for the thing. So these take me 15 minutes, maybe less. So next, I need to get this in front of the right people. I'm going to do it through LinkedIn ads. I'm going to do it through a little bit of outreach. So this is what the $1,000 campaign looks like in LinkedIn. This is Campaign Manager. This is the active campaign right now. This is the group that we built just a minute ago. And then basically this ad is going to appear in their streams. It's the video that I played. It's the call to action at the top, and it's going to make it a way more effective piece of content, right? Piece of promotional content than if I just made a normal social media post. There are also ways in LinkedIn to do the actual lead gen in the ad. We're not doing this. I've never tried this, but Shine, who manages this part of our program, right? He's on the sales team. This is sales marketing alignment. He ran this, and we talked about this as an option where super simple, because LinkedIn already has the person's email address. They can just click to submit to register for the webinar. I think that's a different cost. LinkedIn ads are known as being a little bit more expensive. Yes, they are. But LinkedIn, you're going to target that really super specific person with the job title, the seniority level, and the industry, geography, whatever your ICP is, your ideal client profile. So what Shine then does is he starts paying attention to who's registering, who's engaging. He starts building a list. He starts tracking, starts really like having conversations with them. Great, glad you signed up, right? Warm it up. Anything specific you want to talk about? Do you want to volunteer your site to be reviewed by the Orbit team? So there's no reason to wait, right? Networking can start immediately as soon as you see who's engaging with the ad. So that's going to be part of the time investment. You'll see. I'm going to break down at the end the actual hours that went in and the dollars that came out of this program. The landing page is where they're going to go. So now, conversion and demand is generated by a path, and there's links in that chain. The ad was one link. The landing page is the next link. So I've got to get that person to take an action. Any weak link hurts your results. That's a good way to think about conversion is, find the weakest link in your chain and go improve that. The landing page has got the video again. It's got the format is it's a question based title. We're not hosting that on LinkedIn or on YouTube. It's hosted on Vimeo. It's got the captions, it's got the call to action, it's got the specific benefits, it's got who it's for, it's got lots of formatting, it's got another call to action, it's brief, it's concise, it's specific. This is a landing page conversion optimization. Just steal everything I'm showing you. This is for you, obviously. I'm teaching for you. You are welcome to use every one of these things, including this layout. I'll share with you the links of some of these landing pages if you want to see them live. Now we're going to give a webinar. So we do a bi-weekly webinar where we get maybe like 100 people to come every other week. Honored and flattered that people show up. This is going to be a much smaller audience. The last one we did, I'm like, how many people signed up so far? They're like, oh, we got about 20. Great. 20? That's a lot because they are 10 times more qualified, each one of them, right? Doesn't matter. ABM, page views don't matter, right? Attendee list, the size, it's not important. This is not about reach. It's about the right people in the room. So I'm happy to get 20. And I'm still going to spend 4 hours preparing this webinar, by the way. It's a bit of a playbook, so you can see I'm going to repurpose some things. The first 30 seconds are sort of housekeeping. We just did that. Thank you, Alex. The next is going to be like the thesis, the main point, the takeaway, and then drop a knowledge bomb, immediate practical value immediately. The big takeaway, I'm putting that up at the front. Then I start to break down the research, key points, data, examples. It's very specific. It's brands they know. It's whether or not what these brands are doing aligns with best practices. It feels practical. It feels insightful. It feels relevant. I'm just going through the data and the examples and best practices with the practical takeaway. More data, more examples, best practices, practical takeaway. And then in the end, I kind of add some validity by comparing it to this research done by Google that basically says everything I just said. So halo effect, you trust Google, now you trust me. And make sure you keep it interesting, especially in the middle. Attention kind of declines in the center of things, all things. Primacy, people pay more attention at the beginning. Recency, people pay more attention at the end. So in the middle, those lulls, I'd add some joke slides, I'd add some videos, some memes, I don't know, something to make it fun. So then, this is where the real magic happens. Our job here is to demonstrate some expertise live by having them submit their sites. Shine gathered a few in advance who are willing to submit. And then it's Q&A, right, where we're going to capture their questions. You could invite a panelist if you want, like it makes it more collaborative, get some insights, maybe they have some reach. But what we did was live website reviews, like live consulting. It creates the fear of missing out on everyone who didn't, right? And it's going to give our follow-up better traction. And then we're just promising more value in the follow-up. We will be in touch. We will go through this with you. We're going to help you, because, a normal webinar, you don't say at the end of it, hey, I will personally do a one-on-one call with everyone here who attends if they are interested for an hour each, if you want. Can't really say that to a webinar from a stage where there's 100 people or 500 people there. This one, you can, and you want to, and you want each one of those calls because each one of those people is qualified. Very different, again, very different, right? It's a different CTA, it's a different follow-up. It's going to be a different process, as you'll see. Hope you had a chance to join us. Even if you didn't, here's a summary of the findings. So now, where normally you just kind of like upload the slides, this is what we're going to do today, guys. This is a webinar, right? We're going to share these slides and we're going to say thank you to you. Yes, you're all welcome to connect with me anywhere. But in an ABM program, it's like, I've got a nice landing page. I've got personal emails. I'm going to personally email each person afterwards based on if they asked a question, if they liked it, if they attended. I'm going to reformat that content into a PDF guide, which I don't do every single time for every single webinar. I'm going to send them a physical book, right? These things cost just like $10 to print. I wrote a book. It's a strong follow-up piece. Can't do that in a normal scenario. And I'm going to offer to consult with each of them. So this is the output, the live registrants, and we can begin tracking. They all go in Sales Navigator, so they're all going to kind of appear on the radar more. So when Shine's in LinkedIn, he's going to see, oh, that's the person who came to the webinar. They've been to 2 webinars. I'm going to, comment on their thing. You can kind of warm it up, keep it alive, build that relationship. And the event page, don't make a new page. Use the same event page as the follow-up landing page. No need to make a new URL. I told you I'm 20 years SEO guy. So URLs are a bit of a sacred thing. You don't just randomly make URLs for things. Never miss a chance to repurpose a URL. Now the video is going to be the recording. No, nothing's gated here. Now we're going to link to the ebook version. They can just have it. I'm not getting in their way. This is really only sent to the people who attended anyway. And I'm going to offer them more webinars. My strongest printed piece I already mentioned. You can send handwritten thank you notes. Super powerful. You can send a printout of a guide if you've got one. For us, we have this book. It's got piles of great reviews on Amazon. It's an illustrated handbook for content marketing. It's just demonstrating expertise. Even if they don't read it, it can still get results. Even if they just flip it open to any page, they'll find something that kind of demonstrates that expertise. So if you want to be in the top 1%, just do what 99% of people don't do. It's called the mail, snail mail, US Post. The best marketers, the best salespeople, the best networkers send handwritten thank you notes on a regular basis. I have a pile of envelopes and note cards right next to me. This is, how do I break through the noise? Oh, it's so hard these days. No, it's not. You're just being lazy. Seriously, lick a stamp. Not that big a deal. Moving on before I get too preachy about high touch personalization. I believe in high touch interactions. It's very much worth it, as you'll see in a second, the dollars that came out of this program. rinse and repeat. Hey, the financial industry, that's working. We're getting traction. Let's make another webinar. I'll reach out to a guest. Jessica Best is amazing. She knows everything about email. I mentioned this already. She signed up for a bunch of newsletters to see what they're doing. The top financial firms do what in email? Turns out they stink at email. She got a ton of value from this. So did we, right? We're staying relevant. I also happened to be sort of connected at the time with a print magazine where I got a chance to just it took me like an hour. I repurposed the research into, 32% of financial service homepages still use slideshows, into a print piece, right? The trade pub pitch. Just extend that value. However, keep repurposing, keep reimagining that content in different formats, keep extending that relationship to that same list, those same people, growing the list. This is the ebook version of what we did. Nothing too fancy about it. It's just basically like an adaptation of the slides in a beautiful PDF format. You could download it. I'm encouraging them to share it with other people on their team. Quick side note, LinkedIn tested the click-through rate for 2 different social posts, one using the word guide, one using the word ebook. Guide had 100% higher click-through rate. I think ebook is over. I think ebook sounds like homework. Guide sounds practical. If you were thinking of doing anything as an ebook, maybe it's dump the ebook, just call it a guide. It's called a guide. You're going to get better results just by changing the name of your ebooks to guides. So yes, we did this for B2B tech, 2 different webinars. We did this for financial services, 2 different webinars, a PDF guide and a trade publication. We did this for architects and construction. We did this for manufacturing. We're going to do this for other industries. We're going to keep doing more for the same industries. This is me. It's a super simple slide showing how we build it out. And by the way, now on my radar, right, it's an asset. It's still content marketing. It still lives forever. This is not an ad. It's a piece of content that we own, right? This is account-based content marketing. So the account-based content marketer keeps this thing in mind. And next time you interact with someone who's from that industry, marketing manager at a construction firm, hey, you may find, nice to connect. You may find this interesting. We looked at blah, blah, blah. So after I got the LinkedIn invite from anybody in any of these industries, I say glad to connect. And by the way, boom. Wow, thanks for sending. I'll check this out, right? Why not? Keep using it. So the ROI, what was the investment? What are the returns? Each round of this, and we've done this probably 4, you just saw these webinars, there were 4 so far we've done, where we created the content. The Jessica Best one was guest, obviously, she added that value. So the research, delegated mostly to a virtual assistant, takes us about 4 hours. Prospect identification, we're working together with Shine, that takes about 4 hours. Planning that presentation, building out the presentation, preparing for that, those take me about 4 hours to turn that spreadsheet of research, looking at a bunch of examples, building out the slides, aligning with best practices, planning the 45 minutes. The last 15 minutes will be live reviews, but that's still about 4 hours of work, right? Half day, it's time intensive a little bit. Cognitive focus, you can't just, you gotta think hard while you do it. Webinar logistics and promotion, right? There's several of us on this there's 3 people on this webinar. So you add all of our time together before and after, it's probably 6 hours total. That's the day of presentation. Oh, that's the promotion. This is Shine interacting with people in advance. Follow up, the biggest bucket, right? Because this is where you're trying to build a relationship and offer to have more conversations. 30 hours a piece. Oh, shoot, I didn't update this slide. This is, I'll update this before I share. It's now, the second deal closed. We're at $170,000 in revenue from this program. 100% attributable to the program. People that were not on our database or on our radar until this program. People that we can look back and see that they engaged first with us in a LinkedIn interaction just from this program. So I apologize. I've got, I think this qualified leads is at 8, projects 1 is at 2, revenue impact is at 170K. So it works. The content marketer, when collaborating with sales and when able to do original research, a bit of video and a webinar, can knock it out of the park in account-based marketing in ways that a normal ABM team can't do. This is not one of those ABM go buy $100,000 worth of software things. You do not need $100,000 worth of software. This is the content marketer's approach, which is kind of scrappy, kind of creative, kind of high touch, kind of fun, kind of value add, kind of durable, a lot of longevity. So highly recommended. Hope this was helpful. We saved a couple minutes for questions. I'll stop sharing and we'll Alex, see if anybody wants to chat about this.
Yeah, thank you, Andy. That was badass. I feel like ABM is one of those things for me, at least, like digital transformation, where I kind of have a vague idea of it, but never like the tangible. Like, here's what you do, and I feel like yours was super easy to follow in terms of like I have some ideas for our agency. So yeah, let your questions like put them in the chat or the Q&A box. But in the meantime, I've got a selfish one for you.
Hmm.
All right. So say our agency, say we're going all in on ABM content. Would you recommend cost versus benefits? Would you recommend writing a book?
Not if that's the only goal.
Okay.
Writing a book is so content marketers are experts normally at measuring indirect benefits. So we've got to be good at all the other things that come from writing a book. It wouldn't just be for this program. If you're going to write a book, I recommend doing it in a very efficient way by first documenting kind of the outline of everything in your brain and then blogging into the book for a year or two first. So if you create an outline or table of contents for the book and then look to see where you haven't produced content online yet, and then go start blogging into those topics, now a year from now, your book's going to be like 80% done. One of the big differences between authors and non-authors is just that authors had more foresight and thought about it in advance. And as they produced content, they had this repurposing project in mind. It's great. You're an agency. Probably it's effective as a sales support tool. It's effective at winning speaking engagements. It's effective for recruiting and branding. It's supportive of account-based marketing, but don't do it for any specific one of those. You got to kind of like do it in a very efficient way and do it with all those different benefits in mind.
Love it. Question on the ICP. So what criteria or dimensions do you find most important to use as filters when building out your ideal customer profile and target company list? And then a second follow-up, can that change over time? And if so, how do you determine when that changes?
Well, we're web design, so budget is just the big factor. Our average project is like a $70,000 project. So it's really important to us to target people that are of mature businesses with full-time marketing teams, full-time sales teams. If your company doesn't have a full-time marketing team, you're not likely going to be a fit for us. So it's really, really important. We generated 900 leads last year. We only did 50 projects. So we disqualified hundreds and hundreds of leads. Why? Because those are just people who swam into the net. In the case of this account-based marketing program, you're adding more to that. You're choosing an industry because you have to create something super relevant, right? The hook, the ad, the video, the landing page. So you're going to have to be more specific than just the general, who's best for your business, because you need to create content specifically for that audience.
Let's do one, maybe two more. So you had one slide where you had different verticals and you mapped out sort of touch points along the way, or I guess like offers that you were going to deliver, whether webinars, guides / ebooks, etc. One, how do you plan that out? Do you have tools that you use to like kind of vision board that, I guess? And then two, how do you track that post hoc? Like, how do you find out that like you can attribute your campaigns to like that first, second, or third touch point?
We're not attributing. So there's not a grand plan that's not documented. It's not like a very rigorous approach to create that, where are we going to keep adding value or keep extending this program for that industry? Partly it's just like, oh, financial firms, Jessica would be great for this. We're being a little bit opportunistic. We're looking for, we're listening and seeing what else we can do. The ebook thing, we knew we wanted to do that. We're going to make a template. We're going to be able to repurpose that. But the attribution is just knowing that that person never entered our database until they came to this program. And everyone who came to this program came because we found them on LinkedIn. I built a LinkedIn list and I started interacting with people on LinkedIn. So if you look back, I can find the LinkedIn message where that person first said, this looks cool, I'll sign up. I don't know if they came into the first webinar to the second or when, but mostly we're just taking a shot at one industry, seeing if any of those people found it interesting, needed us at the time. If not, moving on to the next industry. I don't have to, I don't have to keep preaching to the same choir over and over. So I'm going to be a little more nimble than you might expect.
Cool. Let's do one more. How did you determine the key points your potential prospects would be most compelled by?
Well, original research is automatically a win for that. What are people compelled by? New data. People are compelled by new stuff. People are compelled by, strongly supported stuff. So as soon as you put like, we are presenting research on X, you are just immediately differentiated from 95% of the content they're going to see in their stream or inbox that day. So original research wins, period. It is an all-powerful format for content. There's two kinds of brands that publish original research and make themselves the primary source, and everybody else. What type of content? Well, we researched websites because we're a web design company, and if they're not interested in that today, that's fine. But then they're disqualifying themselves for staying out of our funnel, and that's a win too.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Andy. This is incredible. Obviously, I took a bunch of notes, and we're going to try some of this stuff like we talked about before the call. So I'm excited to see how this goes, and I may ping you with questions and some follow-ups here.
Reach out anytime, you or anyone. Find me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to help anyone however I can, and glad if this was helpful. You guys got great stuff coming up. I think Nadia's right here, isn't she?